welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my very first video, so please be kind. I'm still getting the hang of editing and all that stuff. I am going to be mostly focusing on sewing and cosplay stuff, so if that interests you, welcome, and I hope you enjoy this video. Today we are going to be making or finishing making a wrap belt for my friend. She's going to a really cool LARPing experience and she has commissioned a belt, but I just figured this would be good practice on learning how to do embroidery and get things rolling. So today we are going to be making an elliptic wrap belt for her, and I have some embroidery that I will be doing, so there will be some embroidery time lapses in here. So let's just get started, I guess. Here we go. All right, so this is the fabric that we will be using. It is a 100% cotton. Thing I do is we're going to lay out the fabric and get it ready to be cut. So we're going to do that. I need to cut out 3 pieces, which will be doubled into 6. So 1 for the main piece and then 2 for the side pieces that will actually wrap and be ties. So I'm going to get to that, and we're going to do a time lapse here. So yeah, let's do that. And this is what we're left with. Will be eventually cut up into an elliptic, but I need it to be a rectangle for now so we can put the embroidery on it. And then that is actually twice as long because this will be folded in half widthwise. So I'll fold it in half like this, and then I'll sew along all 4 edges. And then once that's done and it's enclosed, I will cut it in half so that I can turn the right sides out and turn it into the straps on the belt. These will be the straps and this will be the main body of the belt. So now let's get this prepped for the embroidery process, and I'll tell you a little bit about that while I put it together. All right, so to prep this fabric for it to be embroidered, we don't need this part. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark the center of this because we want the embroidery piece to be centered as much as possible. So let me grab my chalk real quick. All right, so here's the chalk. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold this in half like so. Make sure that it's nice and crisp. And then I'm actually going to, since this fabric is really easy to crease, I'm just going to crease it with my finger. And then there's the center. But in order to make sure that it stays there when we pull it nice and tight for the embroidery, we're going to take the chalk and mark down the middle, right where that line is. So I don't want the embroidery that I'm going to be putting on it to be above this line in this area because this is going to be the back side, but I need the width so I can fit it into the embroidery hoop. This is where the line is, and I need a little bit more so that the embroidery hoop can actually hold on to it, because the embroidery hoop's like that, and then this will go on top of it. So I need a little bit on this side, so I'm going to try to center it as much as I can here. I'm actually, it just came to me, going to fold this like this, fold it into quarters basically, and do another little crease right here so I can try to make that the center point. Since this is going to be the new center point of this half, I'm going to make sure that it is on there nice and good. So I just marked that. I'm on a little bit of a time crunch with this, so I'm going to just do this like this. I need to get this project done and out by Friday, and it is now Wednesday. So I have today and tomorrow to do this. The next step, now that we have got our center point for each of these, we are going to get the stabilizer. So what I'm doing is I am laying the embroidery hoop, the bigger part of the embroidery hoop, onto the stabilizer and then cutting that out so that there's enough that I can have it sit inside in between these 2 layers and be sandwiched in between these 2 layers and stick out on either end, so I can adjust it a little bit if I need to. Just a little bit further from the outside of the embroidery hoop. This is about what you want to see. even if your fabric is longer. That will be all of the stabilizer we'll need, so I'm going to put that away after I'm done putting these two together. Now is for the first tricky part of this whole situation. You will want to put the bigger part, so the outside of the embroidery hoop, down first, and then take the stabilizer, put it down, and then take your fabric, use the marking side up, and try to get to the center of the fabric as close as possible, like that. So I feel like that's about centered. So what I'm going to do is take the top and slide it in like so. Ta-da! All right, so this next step is pretty crucial. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the little marks that we made and we're going to try to line them up to center as much as possible, since that is like the focal point of this whole piece. I was just loosening up the embroidery hoop so I can manipulate it a little bit better, since it's way far over. I didn't realize how far over it was before. And then I'm going to tighten it back up so it clamps down a little bit lower. Twist, twist, twist. I feel like it's more centered now, but this will be your best friend when you are trying to place embroidery. So you'll put it down so that this little mark, this side lines up with the side of the embroidery hoop, like that. So, and it's reading ABC. So you're not putting it on upside down. Read ABC. ABC, like that. So you just put that on so it lines up, and then it'll fit into these notches. And I got pretty close. So what I need to do is I need to line up these with the center part. So I'm gonna just pull on this a little bit. And so I did it in two places, up here on the center fold. So I can line that up here, and the center of the main piece, I need to pull it over just a little bit more. So just like that. See how it's lined up? Yeah. So now that that's lined up, we need to make sure that it is nice and tight. Tight as a drum is what my research said. So we'll just pull it straight up and down like this and try to get it as tight as possible, and keeping that line as straight as possible, because the fabric will shift a little bit. If you pull it too much, that line is no longer straight. So I need to straighten it out and pull on the rest of the line to try to get it up there, since we want this side it to be as little bit as possible so that we can keep the embroidery on that line. Oh no. So that just happened. It slipped out and that's not a big deal. It's really annoying, but it's not a big deal. So you just line it up, and we just got to start the process over again. So we're going to do that. So what I just did is going to make me recut out this entire piece. I just ripped a hole using the embroidery hoop, and I didn't place it properly. So I'm still new to this, so I do make mistakes, and I have a feeling that part of the reason why we use stabilizers to help prevent this from happening, because it got caught on one of these corners and the fabric ripped. So I'm gonna have to redo that. So it's a good thing I have plenty of the fabric left. I'm not going to record that because I feel like I've already recorded enough of that sewing process. It's the same thing. I need same length of fabric, so I'm probably going to use this as the guideline for that. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it happens. So let's get to it. All right, so we took a little bit of a break because that was really stressful, and my blood sugar was at like rock bottom, so that kind of contributed to the mess up. But back to this. We now have the fabric onto the embroidery hoop with the stabilizer. I made sure to line it up. So now we can start putting this onto the embroidery machine and get started on that. Let's do it. welcome to my sewing room. Here's the embroidery machine. I just put the hoop onto the machine, put it into the tracks and all that stuff. And then I programmed the image into the machine and just got it set up so it's ready to rumble. All right. And now it's time to start putting on the proper thread. I want to show you the amount of thread that is going into this. I'm not going to use the entire spool, but these are all the different colors I'm going to be using. I'm thinking I'm going to use this dark purple, so I'm not going to use this one. I think that one might be a little too light for what I'm going for, but I'm going to be using all of this and several of these, especially like the silver and the black and the gold, I'm using several times. So let's get to it because this is going to take a long time. It's already set up onto the machine. On this piece, I decided to use my heat erasing pens so you can actually see it now. Yay! But yeah, this is centered and all that jazz. So yeah, so this is gonna take over 2 hours, so I'm gonna do a time lapse. I hope you enjoy it because it's gonna take a minute. See you on the flip side. It's the next day. My phone actually died halfway through that hyperlapse, and I was able to get a good chunk of one more of the crests done in that hyperlapse after my phone died. But we're going to continue that hyperlapse and hopefully finish this up today. that the embroidery finished, I'm gonna clean this up and then we'll move on to the next phase, which is cutting out. All right, not gonna lie, I didn't get very far yesterday. I had the worst headache of my entire adult life, like so bad that I can still kind of feel it. So I had to stop filming. We have to get this done today. We have to get it shipped out today so we can get this to her. So for today, we are going to be cutting this out. This is what it looks like so far. I got all the little threads and stuff cut off so that it's nice and clean. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be able to get this whole pattern onto this piece because that blue line right there, is supposed to be the center fold where I'm supposed to fold it in half and have that be the full thing. So I feel like it's a little too high. The embroidery machine just couldn't get for any further down. So we might have to use the pattern and go above that line. It's a heat erase pen that I got for Christmas. So I'm hoping that it'll work. If not, I might have just screwed this up. And if I did, that would really suck. But there are ways to modify it and make it work. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the pattern for it. So let's get cutting. All right, so here is the pattern that I am going to be using. We're going to get it to be symmetrical. So feel like that. So we're gonna fold this in half. Let's see how high up it goes. Yeah, so there's the line. It's like half an inch too far over here. So good thing I made that mistake the other day and ripped it on just one half of it. So I can use this other half as the back to this. And it won't be any different since I cut them out exactly the same. I'll just be able to use this on this piece of fabric. So the next shot is gonna be me cutting these out. Probably gonna do a time lapse of that just because this is gonna take a minute and I want you to see the process, but you don't need to hear me talk the whole time. So we're gonna do another time lapse. Be back in a minute. So now that we have that cut out, we're going to go to the sewing room and pin the two main body pieces together and start sewing the straps. So we'll do a hyperlapse on that one as well. I'm not going to clip this to my shirt because we're going to do another hyperlapse real soon. But now that that is done, we are going to take these pieces. We're going to flip the main one inside out and we're going to cut this big sash part in half so that we can sew them to either side of the main piece. So let's go to that. Alright, now to finish it up, we will sew these together and sew around the edges to make that nice clear line, and then